Hi guys! So today's video is actually going to be a challenge where I use all my art supplies but only in one colour, and as you read by the title and thumbnail, it's going to be blue. Oh, that's a lot of supplies already. And then there's also these markers here, and that also doesn't account for the fact that I have a watercolour addiction as well. I have a lot of supplies to work with, so this should be interesting, challenging, and a bit of fun. Let's get started. This was a challenge that was first done by Drawing with Waffles. I also saw Chloe Rose Art do it as well, and I really wanted to do it. It looked like so much fun. Originally I was actually going to use red, but I decided blue. I started off by swatching all of my colours. I started off with my markers, and then I went into watercolour, and I went into my pencils and pens and everything else. There's so many different materials here that it just was so overwhelming when I actually collected them all together. As a lot of people know, I am a watercolour fiend. I love collecting watercolour because it's one of my favourite mediums to use. So the thought of using so many different watercolours that could look exactly the same actually was really daunting. So what I did was I took my Kuretake Gansai Tambi watercolours because they had the most amount of blues with the most amount of variety, and I just used those colours. I picked blue. I know some people have already done blue, but I really wanted to do it because it is my favourite colour, specifically Prussian blue. As for the artwork, I did not want it to be generic or typical of me, so I really had a long thought about which character I could draw for this. So I decided finally on my character Nicholas, because he has very much a red and green colour scheme, kind of like Rocco, but his colours are more brighter than Rocco's. Even though his colours were bright and complementary, I really wanted to go the opposite way with it, because even though his character is quite flamboyant and he really likes his red fancy cape, his feelings and emotions are quite dark, and he always feels quite sad and blue about stuff. So I thought that would be perfect, and I came up with compositions in my sketchbook, and I really liked the one where you had 3 points of view of Nicholas. Personally, the best thing about this challenge was the fact that it got me to love some of my supplies again. There are supplies that I just stopped using because I use my favourite supplies more, and going back to all the supplies that I've forgot to use for a long time has been a lot of fun. Like the Zig clean colour pens, they are incredible. I love those. They are water-based brush pens. Something similar that actually surprised me was the Spectrum Aqua pens. I did a review on these about 3 years ago, and I haven't really used them much since. I think the last time I used them was for one of my classes when I was travelling around and doing life drawing stuff, so I could actually do it on the go. Other than that, I don't think I've used them for a long time, and why not? They have amazing colour, and I did Nicholas's cape with them and they came out so nicely. I will actually leave a link to the review of these pens either in a card or in the description. I don't have much to say about the markers and the watercolour because they usually work out pretty well, and they're my favourite mediums, so I use them all the time. They weren't hard to use at all. One main difference is the paper type. I usually use hot pressed watercolour paper, but this time I decided, no, let's use cold pressed, because I used it during one of my last modules of university and I was so impressed by the texture and it just looks so pretty. I thought, why not try it again? I think I need to get some more of that paper. It's really good. It's just Daler Rowney 300 GSM cold press paper. It's just great. I do enjoy the hot pressed as well, but I just wanted something different, and it was freeing to draw on something else. So the one thing I did have to be careful about and actually limit the amount I put on the piece was the Kurotaki Gansai Tambi watercolour in a metallic cobalt blue. Now, I knew from the get-go that if I was to put on too much, that this paint would completely take over the entire piece, and at some points I had to scale back the amount I used it. There is also another paint set that I use, and the blue from that paint set is just incredibly pigmented. It's beautiful. It's like using an ink, but it's an actual watercolour. It's from the Koh-i-Noor Annie Linky Brilliant Colours set, and it is incredible. I love it to bits. I've actually used it as a contest prize before. It is one of my favourite sets of watercolour that have ever existed, and it's really cheap as well. It's £5 on Amazon. It's crazy. So I know some of you will notice that I haven't really been streaming as much as I usually do. That's because I've been working on videos behind the scenes, trying to get stuff done and right. I've also gone back to the gym as well, so there's just a lot of things going on in the background that I'm trying to sort out, and so the streams have taken a hit. I'm hopefully going to pick up the streams again very soon. I've also picked up Sims again, which is detrimental to my productivity, and I've done a few test streams of playing The Sims, and people have seemed to really like me doing that. I do have a video that is based on The Sims for maybe next week, maybe in the next few days. I don't know when that's going to be done because the artwork just takes quite a long time. I've made all my characters in The Sims, and it might be a nice change for me to actually stream them just living their lives in one house all together. However, if I was to stream that, that would not be streamed on this channel. It might be streamed on my second channel or on Twitch. I don't know yet. If you would like me to stream my OCs in The Sims, then comment down below, because I'm all for doing that if there is enough demand for it. I've played a bit in my personal time, and there has been some funny things going on. I got a little bit off track there. So coming back to all of the colours that I used, now you can see there are a lot of different types of blue that I'm using. This challenge is very much to do with values and how you play around with them, and I definitely made that a thing with the background. I thought that because the foreground and all the different versions of Nicholas had really dark clothing, I picked out my lightest colour, which was a periwinkle, and it really did contrast nicely because it was a lighter shade of blue and it was also a different type of blue. I'm talking a little bit too fast for the video, but oh well. I'm just finally excited to get this challenge out to you guys. It's been at least a couple of weeks in the making, and the trends probably died by now, but oh well. I had a lot of fun, and I'm always kind of late to the party on all of the trends anyway. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video and liked the result that came out of this challenge. It was a lot of fun and very experimental, and I would recommend anybody to do this challenge because it definitely challenges you to use colour in the way that you wouldn't normally. And if you guys made it to the end of the video, you can comment this on screen now. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys!